This video is brought to you by Mr. Koya. Get a shirt, mate! You know, if you want. After the release of Avengers Infinity War, there's been a bit of confusion as to why a lot of the things in the trailers were missing or changed for the final film. Now, I don't think this is a case of massive reshoots like we got for Rogue One or Justice League, which resulted in huge changes to the final product. These projects were riddled with production problems, stemming from clashes in creative visions, and whether or not a mustache could be successfully removed in post. Debate is still very much up in the air about that one, but if you ask me, I'd say that this is an absolute triumph. The changes made to Infinity War, though, I believe are mostly intentional and serve two purposes. One, to avoid spoilers, and two, to intentionally misdirect the audience so nobody guesses the final outcome. You remember when half the cast was like, "Oh man, I'm turning to dust." There was also a bunch of stuff that was entirely cut that was based on early concept art, and also some small snippets that we've seen that I'll also be going through. So yeah, that's what we're doing here today, if it wasn't clear. Going through all the stuff that didn't make it into the film, and why it wasn't in the film. These are the topics, the time codes are below if you want to jump around. Everyone happy with that? I hope so, because this video's done. I am not changing it. Having seen this movie twice, I'm not bragging, it's just, that's the carefree rock and roll lifestyle that I live that others only dream of. It became apparent early on that a number of the shots were reversed to play better in the trailer, or to have it appear that two separate scenes were in fact the same scene, when in fact there were two separate scenes. An obvious example of this is this moment between Ebony Maw and Doctor Strange, when this was actually meant for Thor at the beginning of the film. We got the reveal of the Iron Spider suit and how it will be sporting extra arms like it did in the comic Punch Avengers Punch, but it was never shown in the trailers. This shot here of Spider-Man spinning through the debris is added to in the final film with the extra arms, including him catching both Mantis and Drax. We also got a reverse Thor Ragnarok situation, which included both eyes in the trailer, only to remove one of them in the final film. This time around, Thor's eye patch was added to the scenes that were set after Rocket gifts him the robot eye that had been up his butt. That includes this shot, and this shot. Interestingly, like we see from this behind the scenes image, the eye patch was CGI even for the scenes that it was included in, which is, you know, I don't know what to make of any of that. Actually, I just figured it out. This was filmed well before the release of Ragnarok, and if he was wearing it and then that footage leaked, then we'd have known that Thor lost an eye. Despite all this, the reveal of a two-eyed Thor had already happened in the merchandise, like other things that were spoilt, which we will get to. Speaking of adding and taking away things though, this trailer never shows more than 2 Infinity Stones in Thanos' possession at any given time, in order to hide where and when he gets each one. This includes this sequence at the end, where he faces off against Captain America, because in the final film, he actually has all of them bar one. And the final misdirect is where Peter Parker tells Tony Stark that he's sorry before turning to ash, as he should be. You're upsetting bloody everyone, you're upsetting the audience, you'll probably upset your mum. Well, no, she's dead. You'll upset your aunt. Anyways, now footage of this hadn't been released on the internet, but it was shown in a very early trailer at, I believe, Comic-Con 2017. And from this leaked footage, we see that none of the dissolving effect, as of yet, had been put in, probably to prevent spoilers, but also because this is a full 10 or so months before the film's release. So it's unlikely that a lot of the shots were finished. But speaking of bloody unfinished shots, there's a couple of moments during the film that looked slightly different from the trailers. The Outriders from that alien attack looked a little more detailed to me, a bit more slick and slippery in the final film. That may of course be a result of seeing the film on a much bigger screen than, say, my telephone. The other definitively altered shot is of the Hulkbuster standing up in this moment. It was revealed in the movie that this is directly after Bruce Banner takes a tumble, and when he stands up, a whole lot of dirt and dust pour off the suit. Hey, do you remember this bit from the movie? It's a pretty good bit, you probably remember it, but did you notice in the cinema, if you could focus, despite all the clapping and cheering and whooping that may have been going on around you in the audience, Star-Lord actually puts up his rude finger to Thanos and not just a fist. I'd imagine this was changed for the trailer so it could show in front of a wider audience. Funnily enough, a similar thing was done in the first Guardians trailer in this particular moment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know how this machine worked.
Right, let's get into some full-on deleted scenes. Stuff that Marvel was like, no, we're getting rid of this. You can't have that much movie. Why don't you wait for the Blu-ray if you want to see this stuff, or at the very least until someone rips it onto YouTube. Scarlett Johansson mentioned in December of last year that the relationship between her and Bruce Banner that started in Age of Ultron would be addressed. She had this to say about filming a scene together. I was going to do her voice here, but you know, I obviously can't, so I'm just going to do it in my voice. I just finished Avengers Infinity War, the first one. My character has this ongoing relationship with Mark Ruffalo's character. I had such devastation that day. I don't know why. It was something about this character that Mark plays, and this is something that should feel so solid, and suddenly it doesn't. And it reminds me of so much of the things going on in my own life at the time. Now that could be applied to this moment where they're united at Avengers HQ, but I'd hazard a guess that that conversation might have happened in this scene we saw from the trailers that never made it into the film, with Bruce Banner adjusting the Hulkbuster armor so he can wear it himself. She further explained in a later interview the motivations behind the split, where she mentions that it's been so long since they've seen each other, and they kind of made the decision then that they were going to sacrifice their own personal desires for the greater good. This is probably not going to make it in, but she also mentions that her and Steve Rogers had been together when they went underground, and it was purely platonic and really a result of the situation that they were in. Another moment that was removed from the film was this line from Thanos.
Fun isn't something one considers when balancing the universe. But this does put a smile on my face.
I'm not sure why this was the case, but if I had to guess, it was probably because Thanos seemed to be suppressing the joy he felt in balancing the universe. Or maybe he just took no joy in it at all. I guess it depends on when exactly this line was supposed to go in. If it was after Gamora's death, when he's all, cut up and sad and having a big old cry, it would seem a bit out of place. Alright, it's time for the ad. Let's do the ad, then we'll get back to the video after the ad. Thank you for your patience, I appreciate it. Mr. Koya are a pretty bloody stylish clothing company that specializes in fun and distinctly charming shirt designs you will not find anywhere else. They've got a variety of styles. Some are more subdued, some are more out there, but they're all great quality and ethically crafted. There's no children getting both their hands torn off in shirt making machines. It's all above board. You can check it out on their website. Also, this is a good quality product, meaning you'll get good long-term wear out of them, which is better for the environment because that way you're not cycling through poorly made shirts again and again. Mr. Koya is also an Australian brand that focuses on a limited number of designs at any one time. None of these designs are permanent. They come in, they sell them, and then they're gone forever. But you can actually receive 25% off your order if you enter promo code Mr. Sunday, all one word, at checkout when you buy 2 or more shirts. That's MrKoya.com, promo code Mr. Sunday for 25% off. If that's not a good deal, then I guess I just don't know what a good deal is. And if that's the case, well then I hope reality bends in on itself and we're all killed. Alright, what else we got? Okay, yeah, seeing Thor directly after he forges his new weapon. There was none of that. He pretty much grabs it, and the next time we see him, he arrives at Wakanda. In this moment though, looks like he could have been holding up his axe, but it was removed. Again, to avoid any spoilers, but also again, that axe was revealed years ago in concept art, and less than years ago with the release of toys and such. And that brings us to the Hulk. Oh man, what a misdirect. I thought there'd be more backlash to this, but everyone seems to be pretty chilled out about it. And I was going to talk about this earlier, but I didn't, so I'm doing it now. But one of the most reposted GIFs, yeah, I say GIF, not GIF, is this shot of the Avengers running, and up the back here, we got the bloody Hulk having a grand old time. Now, it was speculated early on that because we don't see the Hulkbuster suit here, that might mean that Bruce Banner is in the suit, and then he busts out of it at some point when he gets swamped by angry biting monsters. This shot, however, never made it into the film, and it appears as if it was never going to. Or was it? You see, the reason I was all, or was it? Just then was because there's been pieces of merchandise released that have this very thing happening. Now, it could have been in the movie at some point during production. Maybe it even stemmed from early concept art. But maybe this whole thing was an elaborate misdirect, as sometimes toys are. Do you remember the Mandarin doing this from Iron Man 3? I mean, I do, but that's because my imagination is crazy off the charts. It's beyond anything anyone could possibly comprehend. I don't like to brag about it, but it's very good. Maybe though this whole thing was changed during production so we'd get a big Hulk reveal in Avengers 4. Who's to say really? I do though think that this shot was always meant only for the trailer. I mean, there's never a point in this film where any of this would make sense. They're also close together. It looks really staged, kind of like this shot from Age of Ultron, that movie where everyone's like, boo, no good. I mean, I thought it was alright. It gave us the Vision and lots of identical robots. That was good, wasn't it? A few more things. There's footage of Johnny Favreau on set, dressed again like he's to play Happy Hogan. I think there's a fair chance that the early Pepper Potts and Tony Stark scenes were going to feature him, but then they were removed. Also, we've seen 2 alternate versions of Peter Parker introducing himself to Doctor Strange.
I'm Peter, by the way.
Doctor Strange.
Oh, using your made-up names. Then I am Spider-Man. I'm Peter.
Doctor Strange.
Oh, you're using their made-up names. I'm Spider-Man then.
I mean, movies always have multiple takes. It's never just one take, let's move on. I mean, this isn't like... You know what, I can't think of a relevant film reference here. Turns out my imagination is... We'll just do the next thing, yeah? This just came out and I found it interesting, which is all relative, obviously. But that is that Infinity War writers Marcus and McFeely considered bringing in some TV characters ever so briefly at one point. What it came down to, though, was when they began working on the story, they realized they had their hands full already with just the set of characters they already had. So get out of here, Fitz and/or Simmons, whichever one of you is which. Okay, let's wrap this up with concept art. You've probably seen this piece with Thor and Rocket. He's clearly sporting the original Thor look and an axe that has a handle more akin to that of Mjolnir. This was probably done well before his final look for Ragnarok was decided upon. That new Iron Man suit that Tony Stark has, it can probably do more things, like have wings. We didn't see any of that in the film, or we did, and I totally missed it. But then again, I did see the movie twice. It's not a big deal. I may have mentioned that earlier. And there's also this piece where Tony Stark is looking at a bunch of his suits. They do look like older designs, but these just might be what they were potentially going for originally. I believe, though, that is everything. I mean, for now, there's always more stuff revealed. If there is, please, leave a comment below. Or even any of the stuff mentioned here, would you have liked to have seen some of that in the film? Also, just a reminder that there's videos here every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. There's a bunch of Avengers videos you might want to check out. You can do that by subscribing and bell iconing and liking and telling several friends and yelling out the name of this YouTube channel in a crowded library. And if you want, why not check out my podcast, The Weekly Planet? That comes out every Monday, and we always talk movies and comics and TV shows. We just did an Avengers one. It's linked below. But you can also find all that stuff compiled at planetbroadcasting.com. But thanks for watching this. I appreciate it. Take care.